What's up, my people? It's your boy Freelancer here. So today I want to talk about one of my favorite albums of all time, one of the best, probably the best in my opinion, West Coast hip hop album of all time, and that is Doggystyle. Absolutely fantastic album, amazing production, amazing charisma from Snoop Dogg. It's an absolutely great album, and I want to go into why. Now, firstly, with Snoop Dogg in general, obviously everyone knows about Snoop Dogg, just through hearing him on radio, arriving on random songs, like whether it's the Pussycat Dolls or Katy Perry, everyone knows those songs that he was on and he collaborated with, and various artists, whether it's Justin Timberlake or whoever, right? Everyone is vaguely familiar with his style and his aesthetic, right? Some people like it, some people don't. A lot of people kind of, gravitate towards it because to me, he's probably one of the best laid back rappers of all time, if not the best, as well as being one of the best West Coast rappers of all time. And I want to go into why, because a lot of people, to me, through talking to people online and even people who will put me onto hip hop in the first place, were kind of undermining him. We'll say, oh, he had one good album and that's it. And I find it kind of flawed because yeah, sure, he's not as lyrical, or even, I say lyrical, but I mean like not as like poetic as someone like Nas or whoever, right? But that's not what he's going for. He's going for like a vibe. He's going for like something that you can dance to, and he hits those beats in such a way that no one else can do it. Like no one else, in my opinion, can really make an album as dope as Doggystyle. In my opinion, in terms of what it's trying to go for, I feel like this album's perfect, especially within the G-funk genre. He sounds perfect over these G-funk beats, right? And sort of and the other feature rappers on here sound great too. But yeah, so I just want to get that out of the way because to me, the most important thing to me is like is a beat's good. The beats are great in here. Does rappers sound great? Yes, Snoop Dogg does sound great in here. He has fantastic vocals, great charisma, great like usage of melodies. Is the songwriting good? Yes, the songwriting is fantastic. The choruses are great. Backing vocals are great. And things like that are all great. Usage of features are all placed really appropriately and great as well. Of the lyrics, great. But the lyrics in here, they're not like Illmatic, obviously, but they are great in terms of like they work perfectly with these beats, right? And yeah, and I want to say I got into this album as well. Just quickly mention this. I think it was around 2014. Yeah, and when I first heard it, first listen, I liked it. I really liked it. And over the years, the more you dig into hip hop, the more I like it. Because the more I go back to this album, and go, wow, so many people copied this album, right? So many people copied this album. Even like people like Backstreet Boys copied this album, right? With one of those singles that like it's the Backstreet's Back, whatever that song called. Like it just straight up it's a G-funk song with Backstreet Boys on it, right? And that's just crazy to think about. Yeah, so this album, very important album. And now I want to talk about the production. Dr. Dre killed this. This is maybe a controversial opinion, by far the best Dr. Dre produced album, hands down to me. Absolutely fantastic. The beats are through the fucking roof. They're so good. Like whether we're talking about the organs and the flutes on the shiznit, and even like random sound effects that happen in that song. Like I think it's like a car or a rocket or something, and it just works perfectly with the song. Because especially when he's talking about going to Texas and stuff like that in the lyrics, and just works perfectly. And other things as well, like whether it's the backing vocals and the bells on Murder Was the Case, works perfectly. Whether it's the vocoder on Who Am I, again, works perfectly with the sound, with the aesthetic, with what Snoop is saying, and with the sound and the aesthetic of G-Funk. Because like this album's great because it's also kind of diverse. Like between those three songs as well, there's easily identifiable features between those three beats. And the Naughty by Nature sample, I think it's Ready for Them on Pump Pump as well. That's another great like iconic. Like so many people, I think J-Rock did it on the Parental Advisory about 5 years ago now, which is a decent track. But that's just an example of someone that also sampled the same song, and this album is incredibly important for that, because like even little things like that people copied, right? It's like every single song someone copied or someone did something similar to it, right? And yeah, and also the background vocals sound brilliant in every single song that they're on. The choruses sound brilliant on every single song, whether it's Nate Dogg on It Ain't No Fun, whether it's the Gin and Juice, whether it's Who Am I, whether it's like the whole album. Murder Was the Case, Murder, like the whole project. It's just fantastic production, and so immaculate, and damn it, it's perfect. The beats are great. I love the synthesizers as well. This is another thing that makes this album stand out. I mentioned Naughty by Nature, but that's really the only sample on this album, or the only clear sample on this album, and maybe a couple of like vocal snippets, but like on Murder Was the Case. But for the most part, the production is heavily synthesizer based, which is very rare for hip hop, right? And that's what makes it stand out, because like the square synths and the bass line, that gives that like almost like fuzzy warmth to it, which sounds brilliant. The analog here sounds brilliant, and on top of that, the little sine earworms, especially on songs like on what's song called again? On the shiz, it, you know, like that, it just sounds so great, and it just works perfectly with the beat. It's just such a great, absolutely fantastic production on this album, and I just feel like that the production on this album, yeah, I can't give it enough props. Yeah. Yeah, so I also want to quickly mention, like, I love, I think it's reverse strings, or maybe it's a pad with a good attack on it. I think it's on the song Lodi Dodi. I love the way it sounds. It sounds brilliant, works very well with the beat. And and one of the things on the general G Funk aesthetic, and one of the things I want to touch on now is Snoop Dogg himself. I feel like that he is such a great rapper, and this is why he really fits the pocket on each one of these beats, which all have great grooves and whatnot. And he has cadence, his flow, going into his upper register in several songs. It all sounds brilliant, like on when he does it on the second verse in Who Am I? It just sounds brilliant, and that's what he does. It's like he captures that vibe and the aesthetic and the charisma. It's just so unique to him, and it's so great. And like even things like his lingo, you know, like the Izzy and the Flizzy, Jizzy, you know, all that sort of stuff. It just sounds brilliant, and it's so iconic to him. And that's the thing I want to say, when if you're not the most lyrical rapper, you can still make amazing music and have like really great, you know, and sound really great and iconic, you know, if you just use like great or interesting like lingo or slang and things like that, just to make you stand out, right? And yeah, and he really captures the vibe of each of one of these beats perfectly. And even on songs like Murder Was the Case, yeah, it sounds great. You know, like the bit where he's dying, you know, where he's rapping about being killed, and you know, he's seeing demons and stuff like that, and makes a deal with God, and it's just brilliant, right? It's just a brilliant idea for a song. And Lodi Dodi, you know, it's a really fun storytelling song. You can clearly tell by that song. He even shouts Slick Rick out, but you can clearly tell he's influenced by guys like Slick Rick, you know, with who has a similar demeanor on beats and that. Obviously, storytelling isn't the focus here, and that's the thing. The focus on this album is the vibe, it's the music, it's the groove. It's not necessarily storytelling. And when it is, like Murder Was the Case or Lodi Dodi, it's great, it's brilliant. And so yeah, so I wholeheartedly disagree with this notion that Snoop Dogg isn't a great rapper or whatever. It's just, you know, or is overrated as a rapper, because it's just stupid to me. Like the guy is so iconic and original that he blows a lot of these lyrical cats out the water. Like to me, he's a top 10 rapper to me personally, right? And he blows a lot of these guys that are apparently better than him out the water because they don't make music as good as him, and that's straight up the truth, right? Like people go back, people copy this album. People aren't copying Griselda, right? You know, just for as an example, right? And another thing that I want to touch on with this album as well. This album has fantastic features. Lady of Rage does not get the credit she deserves for her contributions to this album alone. Sound brilliant. The Dog Pound, they sound brilliant. D.O.C, they sound brilliant. Every feature on here, apart from maybe RBX, wasn't. Yeah, he was cool, but he wasn't as good as the other features, in my opinion. And even people like is it Lil Hershey Lock or Lil Hershey Loke? From I think it's from Illegal, the rap duo Illegal. Yeah, she sounded great. I'm pretty sure it was a she. So either it was a she or it was a really young he, right? I couldn't really find the gender, but point is that rapper sounded brilliant on the last song on Pump Pump, and yeah, and I feel like even just like things as well, like on songs like Murder Was the Case, like the fact that that song is sampled by The Evils is just crazy. So it's like, oh, he's not a great rapper, but one of the best rappers of all time, Jay-Z, is sampling him, right? You know, I don't know, it just really annoys me that with hip hop fans, right? And another few things as well, like the whole, I think it's on If You Ain't Upon, like the suicide reference, you know, it's the suicide. That's been referenced so many times on so many rappers. Like even Pusha T, you know, interpolated it on his song Suicide, right? Of My Name Is My Name, and like so that's the thing with this album. Even the lyrics, just random things on here, are so influential, and the skits are brilliant too. And another thing I love about this, whether it's W Buzz, whether it's Bathtub, brilliant, absolutely love it. Really funny, really great. It sounds great as well. The quality is really good, because that's the problem I have when you listen to a great album and a skit comes on and it just sounds like, it may as well be me doing the skit right now. You know what I mean? But it just sounds brilliant. And yeah, and I think. Chronic Relief was great, and I believe that was sampled in It's a Wonder by Beanie Man. And yeah, the Classroom intro sounds great, and all of them as well. They don't kill the momentum, they kind of add to the momentum, and they add to the vibe and the aesthetic, and they transition to each song perfectly. They work so well, in my opinion. And on top of that as well, like the humor is great on this album. It's kind of not like how it ends on Subject Matter, because obviously it's quite dark, you know what I mean, and it has some questionable morality to it. But it all works within the context, and all kinds of add like a fun vibe to it, even if it's quite dark, right? Almost like I guess like Tarantino or something along those lines, right? Kind of like dark humor, right? And yeah. And this album, man, is just brilliant. I can go on about for days, man. This album is brilliant. And if you compare this, like for example, it's such a pivotal album in hip hop, right? If you compare, let's say, Tupac, right? Listen to Tupac's albums before, Doggystyle came out, and afterwards, like compare Me Against the World to his sophomore album, right? It's just night and day difference between the production styles and the usage of like synthesizers and the grooves are heavily influenced by this album. And you can clearly even hear it to this day. I think YG's album from a few years back, was still, using production techniques that were perfected in this album. Because while The Chronic definitely is a precursor to this album, and another Dr. Dre stuff, but I feel like this is the album where he really perfected the whole usage of synthesizers and things like that. And Snoop Dogg perfected it by sounding just amazing over it and capturing the vibe and the essence of G-Funk so perfectly well, and the other rappers did too, and the chorus and the singers did too. And yeah, so I wholeheartedly love this album. A plus for me, easy A plus. The whole album is pretty much an A plus. Yeah, man, absolutely love this project. Yeah, if you wanna, and also I also wanna, maybe do a video on Snoop Dogg at some point, because I feel like he's got other great albums. Put a comment below what's your favorite song on this album, or what other Snoop Dogg albums you like, and what other albums you want me to do in the future. If you like this video, like this video. If you dislike this video, feel free to dislike it and leave a comment on either way. Let me know how you feel about this video, and yeah, and subscribe, to support your boys. You know what I mean? Yeah, see you in a bit.